Okay, so I'm having some problems with my camera here. So bear with me. So my camera is broken. Surprise, surprise. So I'm trying to get a makeshift system going here. Which probably is not going to work, so bear with me. There we go. Hopefully. Okay. So my name is Omar Abisad. It's 3:27 p.m. February 3rd, 2021. So I've been tweeting a bunch of tweets, and if you read them, you would probably notice that some tweets are some tweets seem to be replying to comments. So these are comments made outside my window, and there are comments that that are meant to update as part of an experiment, as part of the experiment that's been carried out in the building, as I tweeted. If you're following my tweets, you will know all about it. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. Some of the things that I'm tweeting are not experiments. They are inquiries that I do about what is going on around me, with the signals, temperature, the way I feel. So I use all the gadgets that if you follow my tweets, you see. And they seem to all point in the same direction, that I am being experimented with. I am being hit with microwaves, being tortured. From the comments outside the window, I'm being trained, I'm being home trained. So this is all part of the experiment. So everything that I'm finding, all the relationships that I am discovering from the accumulation of data for using various instruments, are all pointing in one direction, that I am being experimented with. Most likely, chips are involved. And I say this only because I feel the heat. I feel the vibrations in my body, and the electrical readings just proves what I'm feeling. So high electrical currents, of course, heats up the body, obviously, causes inflammation. If you have high electricity in your body, you can get electrocuted. Affects your heart, obviously, which is, your heart is an electrical organ. It affects your cells, because your cells are also electrical organs. Not organs, but they work electrically. So it affects your entire body. It affects the entire body. So, I see the effects of grounding. And right now I'm sitting on a grounding mat. I sleep on a full body grounding mat, and I have one above me. So I see the difference when I wake up. I feel the difference when I wake up. The EKG shows the difference. The readings on the detector shows the difference. So this is not in my head. I am not doing this to cause problems for anyone. I am doing this because I want to find out what's going on in my body. I want to learn as well. So I could take the data that I have to the doctor and say, well, here is what is going on. And you're saying this, you're telling me this, but my data is showing this. Let's talk. Unfortunately, I have not gotten that response from my doctor. I have gotten the response, take back the blood pressure monitor, like 2 or 3 times a year or whatever, 5 times a year if you go to the emergency, is enough. This is the response I had so far. So hopefully we'll change that dialogue. I'm educating people, and that's why I'm tweeting. As I said in my tweets, I think I am being remotely assaulted, experimented with. Chips probably could possibly be involved, judging from the speed with which the signals are picked up in my body. So someone just logged in. Targeted. I got help from this video. Well, that's the whole point of doing this, or else I wouldn't be doing this. Also, I'm doing this because shining a light on something has the effect of putting a damper on it. So I find that when I tweet, the power is turned down, because people who are doing it are scared. Exposure is something that criminals do not like. They shoot laser beams to your neck. There is a link. Yeah, we all know that. If you're a target, you know that. Well, I think this is where we're headed. There is a file about me that artificially criminalized me. So it started off as statements with suspicions, and then they absoluted it. This is all based on the harassment I get. They absoluted it by repeating it and piggybacking. And this is used as the justification for torturing me. So the statement, the reports that's been accumulating and piggybacked on is made public. So this justifies the public's participation in doing what they're doing. And basically what they're doing is elimination. In the process of experimenting and trafficking, at the end of the whole thing, you're going to be eliminated because you're supposed to be dead at the end of the process. So, I mean, the idea is why kill off a body that could be used for experiments? Because really, once you're flagged and you're made a target, you're a living dead, basically. You're walking around, and when somebody looks at you, all they can think of is this report that's made public and all the stuff that's in the report, which are all lies. And when they look at you, you're nothing. This is what in India the lower castes are treated like. The Dalits, of course, are prostitutes. That's just one part of the caste system. The lower caste system, there's quite a few. Don't know the names, but from what I read, the lower caste, people who clean the streets, the latrines and so on, they are treated like animals. They're disrespected. They're beaten up. The human rights. They don't have any human rights. Anybody could do anything to them. They're tools. They're slaves. You don't have to pay them if you don't want to. You can do pretty much anything to them. And it's understood in the Indian system, and this involves everybody, cops included, and courts, that this is what's done with the lower caste. So in the Western world, what they've done, instead of segregating the societies like in India, why don't we create targets? You can do exactly the same thing with targets. You can do anything to them, get away with it, because it's all fixed. Well, in the caste system in India, that's exactly what it is. It's a fixed system that dictates how you're treated. And this is a system that's being brought into the West. This is what we are creating. That's the pyramid, right? It's a Masonic system that's being integrated now, that is being formed and by force, which is the Masonic way, and by bamboozling, by telling us lies. This structured society is being put into place, and we are forced into it because, if you're on a certain level, you're not allowed to know anything more than that. And I'm holding this clip, which I was trying to fix the camera, which I'm gonna set down. Sorry about that. It's distracting. The levels dictates how much education you get, what kind of food you eat, who are your contacts. So right now we have bubbles. So my sister was here, and I understood from what she said that I was not in her bubble. So this is a way of excluding people, of telling people that, you don't belong close to me, or physically you can't come around me, which is the caste system, basically, right? Now, for me, yes, it is something that affects you socially, but definitely it's not something I internalized. And of course, I wasn't born into the caste system, coming from the Caribbean. It was a completely free system when I came along. So my worldview is just the opposite. So, and that of course is going to go to the grave with me. That's not going to change. But people should recognize what is going on. It's really, this whole COVID-19 is just a tool to bring in the system. And we should be aware of it. And we should also be aware that we are being bamboozled, we are being forced into it. So what I am experiencing is meant for everybody, which now people are starting to realize. Because under COVID-19, things are being taken away from you, and you're being brought down. Your level of living, your standard of living is being brought down. Your standard of education is being brought down. Schools are closing, and universities are closing. Openly talking about being brain chipped. So pretty much, it's going to be dictated to you what your chip gets, what's downloaded into that chip. So I'm just looking into the future. So, there's going to be committees like there is now, and the committee is going to determine, not based on your abilities, but based on the needs of the society, of the pyramid, of the beehive, how much education you're going to get, where you're going to live, and everything about you, basically. It'll be managed from birth to death by this group of people who have other groups of people down the pyramid. So every level of the pyramid will have a level of management. And these levels are going to make sure that the people stay on that level that's dictated to them. The caste system, basically the caste system. So instead of India eliminating the caste system, the West is bringing it in using technology. So the bamboozle is, here we have great technology, the cell phone, we can go to the moon, how powerful it is, the computer. We can digitize everything. We can put a chip in everything. We can have the fridge talk to the phone. We can have, we can have our, just about anything. The plants chipped. We have digitized plant now. It's already being done in China. Everything about our world is going to be chipped and all interconnected. Question is, do we need it? No, we don't. We don't need to be that. The world does not need that type of control, because nature, the universe, there are laws that man did not make, and we're not even aware of. We're still learning, right? I mean, if we were so powerful, we would know exactly what COVID was. We'd be able to figure it out in a matter of hours and get a vaccine in a matter of hours. If we were that powerful, we wouldn't be We wouldn't be in this position we are in if we knew everything. So obviously we don't. So we're still learning. So this system that we're bringing into place is something that is not natural. It's a very, very fake system. And the bamboozle is you're going to have all this freedom, and you're going to be, you don't have to vacuum your house anymore, and everything will be done with robots, and this is the world that's been projected, when really what is meant to happen is to use that technology to control you while telling you that your life is better. Really, it's about somebody else telling you what to do 24/7 via a brain chip and a cloud connection. It's about control. It's about putting in a caste system in. It's about dictating what you do every single second of your life. You're going to have a voice in your head, literally, a voice in your head, just like the phone is connected to the internet, and you download stuff and you upload. Well, you're going to be the machine that uploads and downloads from the cloud. But the bamboozle is you're not going to be at liberty to download and upload things of your choice. Somebody else is going to tell you what you need, when you need it, what to do with it, how to do it. Everything is going to be digitized. A completely fake world. Completely fake. So we're being bamboozled, basically. Now, what should really be happening, and I'm all for technology. I am perfectly happy and comfortable with the progression of technology. But we always knew as human beings that there's a spiritual side to us, or else we wouldn't have artists. We wouldn't have drama plays. We wouldn't have theater. We wouldn't have music. If we weren't spiritual beings, there would be no beauty in the world. There'd be no love in the world. There'd be no temples. There would be no seeking of a spiritual development. And art and painting and music and meditation, these are all ways that human beings seek out spiritual development, which tells us that there is a need. It's a basic need like air, like water. Spiritual development is a need, a basic need, because we are human beings. If you put a chip in it and say, no, you're not human beings anymore, you're transhumans. So let's not concentrate on the human side of it. Let's concentrate on the machine side of it. Let the machine take over. So now that the human beings have developed the machines, because we, of course, are stronger, powerful, more intelligent than the machines, obviously, because we made the machines. We made what went into the machines. We program it. We are the programmers. Now we have idiots telling us that, oh, we have this supercomputer that is better than the common people. Only the professionals know about it, because now we now have to listen to the professionals. They are the only ones who know what is good for us, because now we are in a technocracy. It's all about technology. So flip it around. Instead of taking the technology and developing every human soul to their full capacity, spiritual, mental, emotional, every aspect and need that we have as a human being, you're taking the technology and saying, nope, here we have a robot. The robot is better than you because, oh my gosh, you're full of disease. You're spreading it. You're dirty. You need to stay 7 feet apart. You need to be satellite tracked. You need to be chipped. We have to control you because you don't know what is good for you. We do. The professionals do. The people who know about the technology are the only ones who know what's good for you. When this is a bunch of bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. My mother and father did not go to school, and yet my father ran a business. My mother knew when to plant the plants so she can get maximum production. She could tell by the moon. It's dark night or it's moonlight. Don't plant the seeds today or tonight or that part of the calendar. Plant it in this part of the calendar. She did not have to go to school to know this. And this is technology. This is about technology. This is about the phases of the way the earth turns and how much sunlight there is and how much heat there is. And also it's tied into the seeds that you're planting. She would know what kind of seeds to plant, when to plant it, where to plant it. It all goes in sync. And how did she know this? It's passed on from generation to generation because the father did it. She learned from the father. It's also in her genes because after doing it over and over and over and over and over again, you internalize it. And once you internalize it, you change your genes. And you internalize, your very body and your very soul internalizes the knowledge and you pass it on. I think the world is waking up to the fact that we are human beings. The humanity in us is being subverted. COVID-19 is a tool to do that. And the people who are doing it are somehow connected to a satanic agenda. Our politicians have been infiltrated. Our doctors have been infiltrated. And I tweeted about this. I was telling my heart doctor that my palpitations are getting deeper, and he saw skip beats on the results of the Holter monitor I wore for 24 hours or 36 hours. I think I did it for a weekend. And he started telling me that, he started relating it to stress. Obviously, stress is a factor, but he stopped there. Even though I was telling him I think there is more to it, that something changed. It's very possible that I had the heart attack and it was never diagnosed. I know my body. I know how it feels. I know the rhythm. I know when I get up in the night how I feel. I know it's not sleep apnea. There's no blocks in my airways. I could see the electricity in the detector. I could feel it. I could feel the burning of the skin. I could feel my body heat up. I know the direction from which it's coming from. And yet, nobody's listening. Which points, of course, to experiments. So let me talk about experiments. Experiments, illegal ones, cannot be talked about. So how do you shut up people up? How do you shut up the target that's being experimented on and anybody who might want to help the target? Well, you terrorize them, you kill them off, you torture them, you enroll them in the program. So here you have targets like myself, who's been worked upon by people like PK, who is openly telling me that he's working with the government and for the highest of the high, and he's threatening me, don't do anything stupid, like talk, right? So we have targets. When you get sick, when you get the power is turned up and you get sick as a result, you go to the doctor. What did the doctor swear to do? To help people, to make them better, right? The oath that they take is to eliminate disease and pain. That's what they're there for. What would the experiment, the people who are running these experiments want them to do? Definitely not that. In a lot of cases, they'd want the person dead, or they'd want the experiment to carry on because they want to see the results. So what do you do to the doctor? And that's my kidney area being hit right there. So what do you do to the doctor? You enroll the doctor in the program because you have, as an experimenter, be it the dirty military, and a lot of it is about the military, but the military is not the only one who's doing this. Anywhere there's huge money to be made, trillions of dollars, people will do this, experiments illegally. So as I was saying, what do you do to doctors? You enroll them in the program because you have to control the people who can help the target, who swore oaths to help sick people. And targets are always sick, so they're always going to the hospital, always going to the doctor. So you have to control the doctor to make sure that they are not helping the targets and allowing the experiments to carry on. So all doctors are targets because there are hundreds of millions of targets around the world at this point in time. And by now, I think everybody is a target under COVID-19. So, and I think COVID-19 is part of an experiment to bring in the agenda, the New World Order agenda, which is satanic. So how do you control the experiment? You control the doctors. The doctors have to be controlled, infiltrated, paid off, terrorized, killed, whatever it takes. So on that note, I'm going to read this this article, and I just Googled this just a minute ago, and I think I touched on this article before, that there was some more articles on the Google search that came up and talked about how many doctors are committing suicide. So this one here that I talked about before, it's on Global News. Family of New York City doctor who died by suicide says coronavirus altered her brain. So I'm not going to call names here. The sister of Dr. Lorna Breen, that's the doctor who died by suicide after treating coronavirus patients, is speaking out about the end of a sibling's life. Skipping ahead, she spent 11 days battling COVID-19 herself before returning to work in the New York hospital. This is New York. She had 12-hour shifts. When she finished, she said, "I can't leave. Nobody's leaving. I want to stay and help." So she was a frontliner. She said it was like Armageddon. There are so many sick people everywhere. People are just dying in the waiting room before they even get in. There aren't enough hookups for oxygen to help them. They are not getting admitted fast enough. We cannot keep up. We can't keep up. When asked if Feist believes she died because of the virus effects or what she saw in the hospital, Feist said, "I know it in my heart that it was both. I believe that it altered her brain." Then she went back to the most horrific, unimaginable condition. And for somebody whose life's calling is helping people, and she just couldn't help enough people, and the combination was just untenable. So she was in the emergency department. For those in the healthcare front lines, I said, there's a lot of stigma around persons suffering. I know my sister felt like she couldn't sit down, she couldn't stop working, and she certainly couldn't tell anybody she was struggling. That needs to be a conversation that changes. Breen's father, Dr. Philip Breen, also spoke openly about his daughter's death to the New York Times, saying she tried to do her job and it killed her. And there was a video where he talked about his daughter. She was truly in the trenches of the front line. Okay. So this one doesn't have the video. But there was a video that of the father talking about her. Like a horse, basically, which shocked me. So here we have another one. I didn't read this before, I'm just looking at the Google search. Coronavirus, Quebec doctor's death by suicide sends shockwaves through Canada medical community. Karen Dion, 35, who was also a member of the mother of a young son, died by suicide. The family said it was a stress of COVID-19 pandemic that led to her death. Her family and her husband had gone public with this death to let the public know the immense distress that health workers are experiencing in the front lines. Throughout this pandemic, our health workers on the front line, my colleagues, have experienced significant mental stress, losses, trauma, grief, and a burden that is really hard to put in words. The burnout rates of doctors practicing emergency medicine is estimated at around 86%. Around 40% of those surveyed had contemplated suicide during their staff career in emergency medicine. And of those physicians, almost 6% had actively considered suicide in the past year. Take my EKG when I'm done. So I'm burping because my back is hit and it causes gas. Yeah, so that was one of the many. And here is another one on another article on the doctor that I just talked about. And this one is on the CNN.com website. She went down in the trenches and was killed by the enemy on the front line. This is her father talking, Philip Breen. She loved New York and wouldn't hear about living anywhere else. And he and his daughter would speak frequently about work. Oh. And it's my screen just disappeared on me. Lorna Breen told her father that the colleagues were putting in 18-hour work days and sleeping in hallways, and that ambulances couldn't get in because it was so busy. It's kind of like a war zone. She worked in the emergency department and had been on the front lines handling all sort of cases. So New York City has been the US pandemic epicenter, recording nearly 300,000 cases and more than 22,000 deaths as of Tuesday morning. Tagging the air. I'm not sure if you could see that. Lorna Brainston was admitted to the hospital. Okay, so I'm going to play this.
About who your daughter was and what she was about.
Well, Dr. Ward.
So this is on CNN.
She put her life on the line to take care of other people. She was in the trenches, so to speak, right in the front line as people were dying left and right around her. And indeed, as you pointed out, she contracted the virus herself, went home sick, had it proven that she did have the virus, and indeed stayed home for just a little more than a week.
Just listen to this.
Which I don't think was enough in hindsight, but I think she felt an overwhelming sense of wanting to help her colleagues and her friends who were still fighting the good fight. And so she strapped on her harness and took the bit in her mouth, and she went back. And I talked to her just before her final 12-hour shift. And during the time she was on that shift, she basically went down in the traces like a horse that had pulled too heavy a load and couldn't go a step further and just went down. And so she went down. She was retrieved and brought back by her family to Charlottesville, Virginia, where she was hospitalized for a brief period of time, judged well enough to be out on her own, but clearly was not better. And her sisters told me that you could see in her eyes that there was something not there. But at any rate, as of Sunday,
you could see it in her eyes that something was not there.
And she was the kind of person that somebody has very aptly put it. She was like the fireman who runs into the burning building to save another life and doesn't regard anything about herself.
And just so people understand, before this experience, was the doctor struggling with anything that was known to you?
Not at all. No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we talked about it quite a bit before and during, and we have reviewed the other members of the family and concluded that if we ever were trying to prognosticate about who would be solid, Lorna would have been the very last person to have lost her equilibrium, so to speak. She had not one scintilla of any emotional or problem of stress or anything. She was a very outgoing person. She was a snowboarder. She played the cello in one of the orchestras in town. She volunteered at a nursing home. She was a salsa dancer. She just did everything. And everybody thought she was really neat, including me. I think when this is all said and done, there's going to be a gathering publication evidence that this virus affects a person's mind as well as their physical being, like their lungs, and that it has worked on the brains of people who have been sick without us even identifying it to begin with. And Lorna would be an example of somebody who is a poster child for proving that this virus is indeed working on people's minds and psychological equilibrium and really working great havoc.
Yeah, well, lack of oxygen will work on your mind. So I'm going to close it off there. I'll post that link. Talk to you another time.